Hello?
Cat with a K.
Hey, is this Maynard?
Yep.
Thanks for calling in. Hello.
Hi.
How are you? So how are you?
Fantastic.
Well, congratulations on your wine.
Oh.
I watched Blood into Wine last night. I got the screener link.
Good.
You know, it's really fun and it's educational, it's funny, but it's really one of those things where, I was like, God, man versus nature, and nature always wins. I mean, you're not getting killed like Grizzly Man, but I was
that
thinking.
Would suck.
I was thinking. I mean, did you really foresee? I mean, between the wild javelinas and the landscape and all of that, did you really imagine how difficult it would be?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Arizona's hostile territory. I mean, we don't have. Well, I mean, we don't have agents and lawyers like you guys do, but we do have black widows and scorpions and brown recluse and hippies. So
I'd be most afraid of the hippies. Sorry.
Yeah, they're really. They have a sense of entitlement that rivals everything.
Well, it's funny because you have a lot of hippies in your in the documentary.
Absolutely.
And I was, wondering how you were communing with them as well. But...
Oh, those aren't necessarily hippies. Those are spiritual people. The hippies are the ones that have their hands out. Looking for the communal handout.
Yeah, you did have that. I did find it really interesting. Like you had the shaman there doing his prayer and all that stuff. And were you into that before you started this whole excavation?
Yeah, I have a kooky side like that.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah, I moved out there to kind of hear the kerplunk of LA falling into the ocean, as you probably are aware.
Yeah, it's not an easy city. It's taken me a while to adjust myself, but I was watching you, and you're digging in the dirt and you're clipping the vines, and I'm like, God, this is, you have polar opposites in your life. You have this great career as an artist, musician, where it's loud and people screaming at you and fleeting. A lot of things that are fleeting, and then you go here and it's some real tangible stuff. I would imagine that's therapeutic for you.
Absolutely. I just truly believe that you can still make that art. I think a lot of guys in town here feel like they have to suffer every time they do something, and I don't think they realize that, part of the hard suffering should be early on, and then you learn from your experiences and other people's experiences, and you kind of build on those. You don't have to smash your foot with a hammer anymore. You don't have to dive into being a junkie. You can create. There's a way to tap into that stuff without having to damage yourself every time.
I was watching you clip the vines, and I'm like, how long did it take you to know what you're doing?
I'm still learning, to be honest. It's a very long learning. It's a learning process, and every year is going to bring you a different set of hurdles. Every year is going to be a different set of chaos. So even as we start training these vines in whatever way we're training them on that particular site, we might find that in 5 or 10 years that we need to adjust whatever it was that we had in mind for that, the way that site's been laid out.
I learned a lot about the landscape. You were talking about the volcano, all that stuff that was going on as far as growing, right? I mean, that makes the land more healthy for some reason.
Well, it just helps give it site characteristics that not everybody gets to have access to. The sun shines and the rain falls or doesn't fall differently on every piece of land in the world. So you basically have to tune yourself to that spot. That's kind of the clue. And then, as an artist, of course, there's, as a writer, of course, I'm going to be doing songs in between the downtime when you're waiting for the vine to tell you what it wants next.
Yeah, I was wondering, how long that is.
It depends on, the season, but in general, there's definitely times during the year when you have brief moments where there's not a lot of craziness going on. You can actually, sit back and look at what's happening. There's always racking going on during different seasons, but it's not the whole time. And there's, of course, the harvest is in the fall. That's going to always be that way. So there's definitely like those times to celebrate and kind of take a deep breath and enjoy what you've done.
God, there were so many interesting things. I mean, I really thought the film was funny and had, I love the setup of it. I don't know who the two guys were who were doing the talk show.
Tim and Eric Awesome Show.
Okay, I just...
yeah, they're on Adult Swim.
Okay, yeah, see, I just never... But I don't watch TV
a
lot.
They're really funny. They're kind of like the new Mr. Show.
Okay.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Which was great to see Mr. Bob Odenkirk, because I know you guys had been on Mr. Show a long time ago.
Yep.
So that was nice to see his little face there for a little bit. I wanted to talk about ask you if you remember when the first time you had wine.
Remember the first time I had wine?
Like,
I couldn't tell you the very first time I had wine, but I could tell you now in hindsight when I had some really good wine but didn't know how good it was.
Which was?
Back when I lived in Boston, my friend Kurt used to work at a wine shop in the north end of Boston called Martinetti's, and he would bring home really nice, solid bottles of wine for weekend lunches and dinners and stuff. We would sit on the rooftop, in the spring, summer.
That's amazing. I used to live around the corner from that place.
Yeah, so he would bring the wine home, and we would be in Somerville on the roof, looking at the sky and playing some Public Enemy, eating salmon, baked salmon with a fantastic Pinot or something. It was just but I didn't know, and at that time I had no frame of reference for what he was bringing home. That was pre Puscifer, Perfect Circle Tool. That was way back when I was working at the Boston Pet Center down on First Street in Cambridge.
Okay. I had no idea you spent time in Boston.
Yeah, a year and a half. I lived in Davis Square.
Nice. Yeah, I grew up there. I found it really interesting. My grandfather had he had a vineyard in East Boston.
Yeah, it makes sense. Even if you go to a neighborhood restaurant, the Borges family restaurant in Union Square, Somerville, it's this Portuguese American restaurant. On the patio, the father has vines and he makes wine from the vines there. It's awful.
Oh yeah, we called it fire wine. It was not.
You don't want to.
Yeah, it's not what you're making.
Yeah, no.
It's not. I look at you and I think you're inspirational because you're a guy who's built your life around risky business. And, nothing's ever gained by playing it safe.
No, not at all.
And you've done everything that people are usually told not to do.
And you're not supposed to have 3 bands. Apparently that's taboo.
You're not supposed to have 1 band, Maynard.
Tough.
So,
cookies.
You have 3, and then you decide to move to, no man's land and, start this whole new thing. With this vineyard and your winery in Arizona, are you open to and hoping that other winemakers come and set up shop?
No. What I'm hoping is the point of the film for me is that just in general making art, and, it's more specific to, of course, the winemaking, but even with the music, we make the music there too. That's the Puscifer is made right there in the garage. The tracks for some of the drums were recorded in the barrel room. But the whole point is that people will look at where they are, not necessarily look at Arizona, look at where they are, reconnect with where they are. Even here in L.A., if you have a backyard or a small yard next to your home, you can grow your own food. It's not that hard. You don't have to be slave to pesticides and large trucks bringing in stuff you don't know where it came from.
Right.
You can actually, it's pretty easy, especially with herbs and little simple things. You can, it's really liberating. When you actually get past that little intimidating invisible wall to realize you can do those kind of things on your own, it's really liberating. A lot of the silliness disappears. And honestly, you can't plant a thing and watch it grow without it somehow affecting you.
Right, because you've contributed to it.
So I really highly recommend it.
Do you also have a garden and do all that?
Yeah, we have a large, at the tasting room in Jerome, we have pestos and preserves and, like dried mint and coriander and stuff from our own gardens and from our own orchards. And of course, in the harvest season, we have the fresh produce. We have figs, almonds, peaches, apricots.
Nice.
And we hold some of that stuff back, and because I make handmade from scratch raviolis and tortellinis and various pastas, and stuff them with the local goat cheese, the local produce.
Yum. So, are you a foodie as well? Because those two usually go together. The wine.
Yeah, totally. It's hard to. For me, I get people ask like, "Why are you doing all these things?" And for me, it's kind of hard to, kind of that Buddhist mentality, I suppose. Like, it's hard to separate them. They're not separate events to me. Making the wine and making the music and making the food by hand, that's not a separate event. They're not a compartmentalized thing. They're all together. I
loved when you had his name was James Suckley on, the taster there, writer. And he said that, wine is a time machine. And I was like, that's so true, because some of my most favorite memories are, with friends having a bottle of wine. Yeah. And, and then, you got really personal and you talked about your mom. And I think that's a nice side of you for people to see. So it was kind of a nice change of pace to kind of go down this road with you.
With a person like that who couldn't do anything for themselves, if you can do something and you don't, I think that's a sin.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And if I were to be a religious person, which I'm not, I'm more of a spiritual person than a religious, but if there is sin, that's sin. Having a talent or having an ability and not doing anything with it, if you're not compelled to go do that. Because honestly, whatever it is we've done, whatever it is we've claimed to put on our resume, not only can we do it better, we can do more. So that's just my take on life in general. If you can do more, you should.
Well, I think that's why, you are where you are and you're doing, you probably feel, a lot more satisfied than most on the planet. So words to live by.
Well, it's always going to be a struggle. I mean, there's always going to be,
True, but
friction.
You could, what is that, the Thoreau quote, the massive manly lives of quiet desperation, and you're just not that guy.
No.
So you named the wine Judith after your mom, and I want to know what would you pair it with, say your favorite meal to eat with that?
Stuff from our garden, just because the garden's right next to the vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd definitely still be, in a way, kind of from that same spot.
But would it be like, how I did a wine tasting once and, something sweet can affect the taste or something?
Yeah, that's something you got to be careful of.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, from the garden, we don't have anything really super sweet coming out. Even if you're going to serve apricots, you can kind of downplay that a little bit with a little bit of goat cheese or something like that. But I don't know, from our garden, there's a lot more herb salads coming out. of doing some shishito peppers. So I'll probably grill up some shishito peppers. And this is awful. Like, this is the rock guy talking, the guy from Tool talking about shishito peppers.
You're making me hungry.
That's just awful. What's wrong with that guy? He's totally gone over the edge.
No, you know what the thing is, and this is the thing. If you have to be the guy who is the rock star, like in the mind of people, and you have lots of fans musically, if you're the guy who is introducing people to wine who would never go down that road, then so be it. And you are. I've seen it. I've been around dudes who I know are total beer guys or vodka, and they kind of it opens them up a little bit. So,
well, it's definitely as Eric described in the film. There's this entire world that opens up to you once you open up that part of you to perceive it.
Yeah.
And it's not there until you open the door. My favorite, scene in a film that kind of describes that whole idea in a nutshell that kind of resonates with me is the scene in The Meaning of Life, where they're in the boardroom discussing that people aren't wearing enough hats. But the other side of the coin is talking about the soul and developing it through self inspection and introspection and feeding your soul to develop your soul. So I think that's kind of the same thing. There's a whole world out there for you to discover if you just have to become conscious and connect with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sometimes it takes someone like you to knock on the foreheads of the fans.
Yeah, but it is true. People aren't wearing enough hats.
Yeah.
We just happen to sell hats.
Do you really?
I'm just kidding.
So are you doing wine tastings at your winery, or what's up with that?
There's going to be 3 tasting rooms open. Eric has his family winery, Page Springs Cellars, which is over on Page Springs Road in Cornville, near John McCain's house.
Ew.
Yikes.
Sorry.
I like the guy. He's really nice.
Sure.
Anyway. And then there's the Jerome Caduceus Cellars and Merkin Vineyards tasting room. That's mine. That's up in Jerome.
Okay.
And we're opening our joint project, which is the Arizona Stronghold tasting room down in Cottonwood. So we've got there's a whole bunch of tasting rooms around there now, and there's basically a wine trail. It takes you all the way basically from Sedona all the way through up into Jerome.
Oh, that's nice.
Camp Verde, Cottonwood. Yeah, it's great. So there's actually a little scene there.
No, that's good, because I know people who do that usually like to hit a couple spots. I've only done a wine trip once, but that's what we did. So that's nice. Is it true that town burned down 3 times?
Yep.
Seriously?
Yeah.
And you were like, this is it?
No, I think it was the mining days back when this is a $1 billion copper mine. There's a hole underneath the town that you could fit a cathedral in. That's how much copper came out of that hill.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's huge. And so just the process of, the ground shifting and all the tunnels that are through it and the bad wiring and, building codes back in the day. It's just, and, of course, when the mines are doing all the smelting, it's pretty much killing most of the vegetation. So any vegetation that is there is dried, kindling. So any spark pretty much sets the town on fire back in the day. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah, I saw like big pools of water behind you at some point.
Well, that was our little irrigation pond.
Did you have to set that up, or was that?
No, I had to build it just because
Yeah.
if they turn off the irrigation ditch or somebody blows it out because something dumb happens or a tractor or a flood, and we need water on the vineyard, you have to have a backup plan for a little bit of storage of water there. So.
Did you ever, in the process, just say to yourself, "What am I doing?" Did you ever?
No.
Okay.
Not really. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing, but
Right.
Maybe that's why I didn't ask. I already know that I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm not going to bother asking the question.
Okay, well, just, I'm going to let you go, but, if I don't ask you, I'll be crucified to ask you what's up with music.
What?
Is there like Puscifer or Tool or anything happening? Hang
on. Let me just grab I got to go to the computer. How do you spell Wikipedia?
Oh, come on.
Hang on. Hold on. That says here, Tool.
No, I don't believe Wikipedia.
There you go. Summer 2009, expect a record.
Oh,
crap, that passed.
You've
I don't know.
been so charming this whole time.
This whole time I've been so nice, and then here I am again. There's the dickhead.
No, I realize it has to be annoying because you're like, you're just trying to.
It's like the wine. It's going to take as long as it's going to take to be right. That's all. It takes the time that it takes.
Well, it took 16 months for a great bottle.
If you're a decent artist, you're expressing some of your experiences. You're taking something and you're interpreting it and then presenting it as something. And if all you've done is go from studio to road back to studio, what the heck story do you have to tell? You don't have a story to tell.
No, you're vacant. So I get
go
that.
live a life, go do stuff, and then gather some
people
experiences and then report them. Don't rush it. Why rush it? That's why every band's third record is a road album, complaining about their record company. What else have they seen in the last several years? They have no other experiences to talk about.
Well, they just miss you, Maynard. That's it.
Oh.
That's it. That's the only reason why, We got to deal with a bunch of crap. So then you guys come along and we don't have to.
Summer 2009. Hold your breath.
I'm going to get in my time machine and go back to that moment.
Apparently we missed it.
Wait, I do have one more question. Sorry. So the astronauts woke up to Parabola a week ago or two.
Did they?
You have not heard?
Are they going to, you know what? We got a call from PETA.
What?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with astronauts?
PETA's like, the astronauts who test on baby seals or whatever, we want you to jump on the bandwagon. It's like clearly they haven't listened to Tool songs that they think Tool's going to jump on the PETA bandwagon.
Wow. What a crazy turn. Yeah, I mean, you must have heard of it, right? That they woke up to Parabola on the space station?
I told our manager to just email back the word disgustipated. Just see what happens.
See, this is why people, you can't help people liking you, because as smart as you are and as creative as you are, sometimes, the little boy Maynard comes out, and we like that.
Sometimes prick is funny, sometimes it's not.
Yes, from a girl's perspective, always. So anyway, well, congratulations. I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was really fun from many different angles and super interesting. I learned a lot.
Thank you.
It makes a huge impact when, I forget who said it. They were said, I think it might have been Eric, said 16 months to make, this one bottle of wine. And it's like we owe everything.
It's a commitment in time. You don't see any results, and you have no idea how to even begin assessing where you've come from in reference to where you're going for 7 or 8 years before you even see the first bottle. You can even compare the first bottle to the second one. You're talking 9 years from the start.
Right.
So it's definitely a commitment in time.
Look, I love wine, and I grew up drinking wine and having it in my family, so I'm all about it. So it was really interesting, and I wish you the best with it.
Thank you.
And I'll see you in 2009.
Bye.
Bye.